Did you know Domino's delivers over 3 million pizzas every single day? That's enough to circle the globe 85 times in just 1 year. With numbers like that, it makes you wonder, what goes into crafting each one of those perfect pies? Ever thought about how your favorite pizza is made, from the dough to the toppings? Let's find out. Domino's Pizza began with a pretty humble start in 1960 in the little town of Ypsilanti, Michigan. Two brothers, Tom and James Monahan, decided to buy a small pizza joint called Dominos for a whopping $500. That's right, they basically bought a pizza shop for the price of about 20 large pizzas today. The plan? Run it part-time to help cover their college costs. But as it turns out, running a pizza business wasn't just about tossing dough. It became a full-time gig almost overnight. 8 months in, James had enough and decided that delivering pizza wasn't his thing. He traded his share of the business to Tom for, you guessed it, a used Volkswagen Beetle. So, while James drove off into the sunset with his new wheels, Tom went all in on the pizza game. Tom then rebranded the shop as Domino's Pizza in 1965. Legend has it, one of his delivery guys suggested the name after realizing they couldn't legally use Dominos anymore. Tom liked the idea so much that he even planned to put a domino on the logo, with 3 dots to represent the 3 stores he owned at the time. Little did he know, they'd eventually have to stop adding dots, or the logo would start to look more like a game of Twister. Fast forward a few decades, and Domino's went from that one little pizza shop to a global powerhouse delivering pizzas across the world. They didn't just stick to pizza delivery either, they revolutionized it. From creating the 30-minute delivery guarantee, though they had to retire that promise later, to pioneering online pizza tracking, Domino's has become a fast food legend. And to think, it all started with $500, a Volkswagen, and one brother who decided he was more into cars than pizza. The process begins with the dough. The dough is the backbone of any pizza, and at Domino's, it's treated like the star ingredient that it is. But what makes Domino's dough different from others? It all starts with high-gluten flour. This flour is sourced from trusted suppliers who specialize in providing flour with a high protein content, essential for developing the chewy yet crispy texture Domino's is famous for. In Domino's dough production facilities, massive industrial dough mixers handle huge batches of dough at once. These machines work on a scale far beyond the simple stand mixer in your kitchen. Imagine a bowl large enough to hold several hundred pounds of dough. The machines are designed to mimic the kneading process that would happen by hand but on a larger scale. The goal is to activate the gluten in the flour, creating a stretchy, elastic dough that will bake into a perfectly chewy crust. Water and yeast are added to the flour, along with a bit of salt and sugar. The yeast, of course, is what gives the dough its rise. As the yeast consumes the sugars, it produces carbon dioxide, which creates the air pockets in the dough, giving it that light, airy texture when baked. But the sugar does more than just feed the yeast. It also helps with browning during baking. Once the ingredients are combined, the mixer goes to work. These mixers are equipped with spiral dough hooks, which knead the dough for several minutes until it reaches the perfect consistency. After being kneaded, the dough is sent into a portioning machine. Here, the dough is automatically divided into exact portions, ensuring that every pizza has the same amount of dough. This precision is key. Too much dough, and the crust will be too thick. Too little, and it won't hold up to the toppings. But we're not done yet. After portioning, the dough needs to rest and ferment. This happens in large, temperature-controlled refrigeration units, where the dough balls are placed on racks and allowed to ferment for several hours. During this time, the yeast continues to work its magic, developing flavor and structure in the dough. This resting period is critical because it allows the gluten to relax, which makes the dough easier to stretch and shape later on. Once the fermentation process is complete, the dough balls are wrapped and shipped to Domino's stores, where they'll be used to make fresh pizzas. Unlike many other chains, Domino's dough is never frozen. This helps preserve the flavor and texture, ensuring that the crust bakes up crispy on the outside and soft on the inside. Now let's talk about the sauce, one of the unsung heroes of the pizza making process. While the exact recipe is a closely guarded secret, we can still explore the process and some of the likely ingredients used to create that perfect balance of tang, sweetness, and savory flavor. At the heart of the sauce are vine-ripened tomatoes, which are sourced from farms located near the processing facilities to ensure peak freshness. The tomatoes are picked at the perfect moment, bursting with natural sweetness, and immediately processed to lock in their flavor. In the sauce-making facilities, the tomatoes are first turned into a thick puree. This is done using high-speed industrial blenders that can process thousands of pounds of tomatoes in minutes. The puree is then passed through a series of strainers that remove the skins and seeds, leaving behind a smooth base for the sauce. Once the tomato puree is ready, it's time to add the spices and seasonings. While Domino's keeps the exact spice blend under wraps, we can make some educated guesses based on classic pizza sauce flavors. Common ingredients likely include oregano, garlic, basil, onion powder, black pepper, salt, sugar. Once all the spices are added, the sauce is cooked in large industrial kettles. These kettles are equipped with automatic stirrers that keep the sauce moving as it simmers. This ensures that the flavors meld together evenly and prevents the sauce from burning or sticking to the sides of the kettle. The temperature of the sauce is carefully controlled. Too hot, and the flavors will become dull. Too cold, and the sauce won't develop the rich, complex flavor that makes Domino's pizza sauce so addictive. After cooking, the sauce is quickly cooled using flash coolers. These machines are designed to rapidly reduce the temperature of the sauce without compromising its flavor or texture. Once cooled, the sauce is packed into sealed containers and shipped out to Domino's stores, where it's kept fresh and ready to spread onto the dough. The cheese, arguably the most important part of any pizza. Domino's uses 100% real mozzarella cheese, which is specially crafted to melt perfectly in the high-heat environment of their pizza ovens. But how is this cheese made, and what gives it that signature stretch? It all starts at dairy farms, where fresh milk is collected and transported to cheese production facilities. Here, the milk undergoes pasteurization, which heats it to a specific temperature to kill any harmful bacteria while preserving the quality of the milk. After pasteurization, the milk is combined with rennet, an enzyme that causes the milk to curdle and separate into solid curds and liquid whey. Once the curds have formed, they're drained of the whey and heated to create the desired texture. The curds are then stretched and kneaded, a process known as pasta filata, which is what gives mozzarella its iconic stretchy texture. The cheese is then shaped into large blocks or wheels, which are left to set before being sent to shredding facilities. At these facilities, the mozzarella is shredded into the fine strands you see on your Domino's pizza. The shredding process is done using high-speed cheese shredders that ensure every strand is uniform in size. This helps the cheese melt evenly when the pizza is baked, creating that perfect gooey layer that pizza lovers crave. But it's not just about the melt. Domino's mozzarella is carefully crafted to achieve the perfect stretchability factor. This is that magical moment when you pull a slice away from the pie, and the cheese stretches into long, delicious strands. To achieve this, the moisture content of the cheese is carefully controlled. Too much moisture, and the cheese will melt into a puddle. Too little, and it will become tough and rubbery. After shredding, the cheese is bagged, sealed, and shipped to Domino's locations, where it is stored under refrigeration to maintain freshness until it's ready to be sprinkled generously over the pizza. The machines that make Domino's pizzas possible are just as important as the ingredients themselves. In dough production, industrial mixers churn massive amounts of dough with the precision of a professional baker, while portioning machines ensure that each dough ball is identical. These machines are designed to handle the volume of dough needed to supply thousands of Domino stores, but they also maintain the quality of handmade pizza dough. In the sauce-making facilities, blenders, strainers, and kettles are all designed to ensure that the sauce is perfectly smooth and flavorful. The strainers remove any unwanted seeds or skins, while the kettles cook the sauce to just the right temperature. Automated stirrers keep the sauce from scorching, and flash coolers preserve the freshness once cooking is complete. Finally, high-speed shredders handle the mozzarella cheese, ensuring it's finely grated and ready to be melted. The shredders work with precision to create the perfect texture for melting, helping to achieve that iconic cheesy stretch. Once the dough, sauce, and cheese arrive at Domino's stores, the final pizza-making process kicks into high gear. It's like a pizza assembly line of perfection, but with a bit more heart and a lot more cheese. The dough, fresh and never frozen, gets hand-stretched to that perfect thickness, just the right mix of chewy and crispy. Then comes the sauce, ladled on with just the right swirl, like a painter adding the finishing touches to a masterpiece. And the cheese? It's generously sprinkled over the top, covering every inch like a warm blanket of mozzarella goodness. Whether you're ordering a classic cheese pizza or going all out with a loaded supreme, the foundation is always the same. High-quality ingredients, meticulous prep, and cutting-edge ovens, all working together in a delicious symphony. It's a process so smooth, you'd think they'd been doing it since the dawn of time. Spoiler, they pretty much have. Once the dough is stretched, the sauce ladled, the cheese generously applied, and the toppings artfully placed, the pizza is now ready for its journey through the oven. Domino's uses state-of-the-art conveyor belt ovens, also known as impinger ovens, which are precisely calibrated to bake the pizza evenly from crust to center. These ovens are key to the entire process, allowing Domino's to deliver hot, fresh pizzas quickly while ensuring consistency in every single bite. So, how does it work? The pizza is placed on a continuous conveyor belt that moves through the heated chamber of the oven. As the pizza glides along, hot air is blown over the top and bottom of the pizza from multiple directions. This ensures even cooking on all sides, meaning the crust crisps up perfectly, the cheese melts into a golden, bubbly layer, and the toppings cook just right without being underdone or burnt. The temperature inside the oven is carefully controlled, typically ranging from 450 degrees Fahrenheit to 500 degrees Fahrenheit, ensuring that the pizza bakes fast, usually within 6 to 7 minutes. The beauty of this conveyor belt oven is that it eliminates the guesswork. Unlike traditional ovens where a cook might have to rotate or move the pizza to get an even bake, the conveyor ensures that every inch of the pizza is exposed to consistent heat throughout the entire cooking process. By the time the pizza emerges from the other side of the oven, the crust is crisp, the cheese is melted to perfection, and the toppings are fully cooked. Once the pizza emerges, it's ready for its final touches. The pizza is swiftly sliced using a rolling blade, then boxed up in a custom-designed Domino's box, made to retain the pizza's heat and keep it fresh. For delivery orders, the pizza is slipped into an insulated hot bag, ensuring it stays at the perfect temperature until it reaches your doorstep. KFC's secret recipe is so protected that it's locked in a vault. How did this guarded blend help Colonel Sanders turn his fried chicken into a global sensation? Let's dive into the story behind KFC's rise to fame. The story of KFC is closely tied to the life of its founder, Colonel Harland Sanders, a man whose journey from humble beginnings to global fame is as remarkable as the chicken he made famous. Yes, Colonel Sanders was very real. His determination and secret recipe turned KFC into a worldwide success. Born in 1890 in Henryville, Indiana, Sanders had a hard childhood and left school early to help support his family. He tried many jobs, like farming, law, and selling insurance, but faced many failures. By his 40s, none of these efforts had brought him success. In 1930, Sanders opened a gas station in Corbin, Kentucky, where he began serving fried chicken to travelers. He used his own kitchen tools to serve the chicken in the station's dining area because there wasn't a proper restaurant set up. His chicken became so popular that by 1936, he was given the title of Kentucky Colonel for his contributions to local cooking. But in 1956, a new highway took traffic away from his restaurant, and he had to sell the business at a loss. At 65 years old, with just a Social Security check and his secret chicken recipe, Sanders set out to expand his business. He drove across the country, sharing his recipe with restaurant owners, often cooking on site to show its quality. His hard work paid off, and in 1952, the first KFC franchise opened in Salt Lake City, leading to hundreds of franchises across the US by the early 1960s. The Colonel's hard work led to the creation of the secret mix of 11 herbs and spices, which is now one of the world's most closely guarded cooking secrets. The blend is so secret that only a few KFC leaders know the full recipe, and it is kept in a vault with a motion detection security system. This recipe has been crucial to KFC's success, keeping the flavor the same across its 24,000 locations in 145 countries for over 50 years. Even after selling KFC in 1964 for $2 million, Colonel Sanders remained the brand's famous face, continuing as its spokesperson and appearing in commercials until he died in 1980. His image was key to KFC's identity, keeping his connection with the brand strong. KFC gets its chicken from a worldwide network of farms and suppliers that are chosen carefully based on their ability to meet strict standards for animal care, food safety, and environmental responsibility. These suppliers are located in various regions, including the United States, the United Kingdom, Ireland, and other key markets. Did you know that KFC is the second largest buyer of chicken in the world, only behind McDonald's? The company is committed to making sure the chickens are raised in environments that focus on their well-being, giving them plenty of space, access to clean water, and a healthy diet without added hormones or steroids. KFC works closely with its suppliers to make sure chickens are raised with good care and humane treatment. The company aims to have 100% cage-free chickens worldwide by 2026, and as of 2024, about 25% of chickens in the US, UK, and Canada are cage-free. The farms that supply KFC must provide better environments for the chickens, like access to natural light, perches, and things to peck at, which help reduce stress and allow natural behaviors. Once the chickens are fully grown, they are taken to special processing plants, where they go through several inspections to make sure they meet KFC's quality standards. KFC's process includes more than 50 checks from farm to restaurant. These plants are regularly checked by KFC and outside groups to make sure they follow food safety and animal welfare rules. When the chickens arrive at the processing plants, they go through detailed inspections by trained professionals who check for any signs of illness or defects. The chickens that pass these checks are then thoroughly cleaned. Cleaning is important to remove any contaminants and prepare the chicken for the next steps. The plants follow strict hygiene rules during this process, making sure all equipment and surfaces are sanitized to prevent cross-contamination. After the chickens are cleaned, they are cut into specific parts like breasts, thighs, wings, and drumsticks. This cutting is done with advanced equipment that ensures each piece meets KFC's exact size and weight standards. Consistency is important to make sure customers get the same quality and portion size no matter where they buy their KFC meal. Once the chicken is cut, it is chilled to keep it fresh. KFC often highlights that in many places, the chicken is never frozen, which helps keep its natural texture and flavor. Chilling also stops bacterial growth, keeping the meat safe during transportation. The chilled chicken is then packed and sent to KFC restaurants. This process is carefully managed to make sure the chicken stays at the right temperature until it arrives at its final destination. Throughout the processing phase, regular checks are done by both KFC and outside organizations. These checks cover different parts of the process, including animal care, food safety, and meeting local and international rules. KFC's processing plants use modern technology to monitor and control the quality of the chicken at every stage, from the first inspection to the final packaging. The processing of KFC chicken is a tightly controlled process that includes detailed inspections, careful cutting, and precise chilling to keep the chicken safe and high quality. Regular checks and strict standards make sure KFC's chicken meets customer expectations worldwide. When the chicken arrives at a KFC restaurant, it goes through a careful final preparation process that ensures the famous taste and texture KFC is known for. Here's a closer look at how the chicken is turned from raw cuts into the crispy, flavorful pieces served to customers. Once the chicken arrives at the restaurant, the kitchen staff first inspects it to make sure it meets KFC's quality standards. This step is important to keep the food consistent across all locations. The chicken is then stored in a refrigerated area to keep it fresh until it's ready to be cooked. The breading process is where the magic starts. The chicken is coated in a special flour mixture that includes KFC's famous blend of 11 herbs and spices. Fun fact, Colonel Sanders' original handwritten recipe is still kept in a safe at KFC's headquarters in Louisville, Kentucky, split into 2 parts stored separately to keep it secret. During the breading process, the chicken is dipped into cold water and then into seasoned flour. The cold water helps the flour stick better to the chicken, ensuring an even coating. The chicken is then hand-breaded using a method called the 7-fold technique, where it is lifted and folded in the flour 7 times to make sure every piece is fully coated. After the breading, the chicken is cooked using a method called pressure frying. This technique was created by Colonel Sanders in the 1940s and is key to getting KFC's crispy outside while keeping the meat inside juicy and tender. Unlike regular frying, pressure frying uses high pressure to cook the chicken faster and at a lower oil temperature, which helps keep in moisture and flavor. Pressure frying allows KFC chicken to cook in about 15 minutes, compared to nearly 30 minutes with traditional frying methods. In this process, the breaded chicken is placed in a pressure fryer, where it is cooked under high pressure. This method not only speeds up cooking, but also ensures the chicken is cooked evenly, with the juices sealed inside. The result is chicken that is crispy on the outside and moist and flavorful on the inside. Throughout the cooking process, KFC chefs keep a close watch to ensure the chicken is cooked perfectly. They carefully monitor the cooking time and temperature because any changes can affect the texture and flavor. After frying, the chicken is quickly drained of excess oil before being served or placed in the iconic KFC bucket. Once cooked, the chicken is kept warm under heat lamps until it is served. KFC ensures the chicken is served as fresh as possible, usually within a short time after cooking, to keep its crispy texture and juicy inside. This final step is key to delivering the finger-licking good experience that KFC promises. The mix of the secret spice blend, precise breading technique, and special pressure frying method is what makes KFC chicken loved worldwide, ensuring each bite is always delicious. KFC is dedicated to reducing its environmental impact and ensuring ethical sourcing in all its operations. The company focuses on saving water, managing waste, and lowering carbon emissions by improving water use, recycling, and using energy-efficient technologies. KFC's parent company, Yum Brands, has promised to cut greenhouse gas emissions by 46% by 2030 across its entire supply chain. KFC is also working to reduce antibiotic use in its chicken supply. To keep high standards, KFC regularly checks its suppliers and stays transparent, pushing for greater responsibility across its global supply chain, even with regional challenges. These efforts show KFC's commitment to responsible sourcing and meeting consumer expectations for sustainability. Burger King serves over 11 million customers every single day across the globe. That's a lot of flame-grilled goodness. But have you ever wondered what really goes into making those iconic burgers? From the factory to your plate, let's find out what's behind the bun and if it's really worth the bite. Before we jump into the modern production process, let's take a quick trip back in time to see how Burger King became, well, the king. Founded in 1953 in Jacksonville, Florida, Burger King started with the name Insta-Burger King, thanks to a special piece of equipment called the Insta-Broiler, which could cook multiple burgers quickly. However, financial issues led the original owners to sell the company just a year later to two franchisees, James McLemore and David Edgerton. These two visionaries rebranded it as the Burger King we know today, refining the menu and introducing the now famous flame grilling method that still defines the brand. In 1957, they introduced the iconic Whopper, a burger so massive for its time that it quickly became their flagship product. Since then, the company has expanded to more than 18,000 locations worldwide, standing tall as the second largest fast food burger chain after McDonald's. Over the decades, Burger King has continued to innovate in its marketing and menu offerings, but its flame-grilled burgers have always remained at the heart of the brand's identity. And now, with that little history lesson in mind, let's get back to what's really cooking behind the scenes. Let's start with the heart of any Burger King hamburger: the beef patty. In theory, you might picture cows roaming freely on pastures, but in reality, Burger King's beef is largely sourced from industrial-scale farms. These farms aren't necessarily the picture of idyllic ranches. Think larger operations, where maximizing beef production is the goal. Most of the cattle used for Burger King hamburgers are grain-fed, which is standard practice for fast food beef. Grain feeding helps beef cattle reach the right weight more quickly and consistently. Plus, grain-fed cattle tend to have a higher fat content, leading to that juicy bite everyone expects in their burger. It's a far cry from the leaner, grass-fed beef that's popular among health-conscious consumers. But hey, that fat content is what makes the patty flavorful. But what about additives? Well, here's where the line between 100% beef and food processing comes into play. Yes, Burger King's beef is technically 100% beef, but that doesn't mean it's untouched by modern food science. To maintain consistency across thousands of restaurants, the patties sometimes include binders or fillers like soy protein or textured vegetable protein, TVP. These additives help the beef hold its shape and juiciness throughout the cooking and freezing process. They're also handy in reducing the total amount of beef used, making the patties more cost-effective. So, while the patty may still technically be 100% beef, it's enhanced by these modern ingredients to ensure you get the same experience no matter which Burger King location you visit. It's all about balancing flavor, cost, and consistency. That's the magic of fast food. Once the beef is sourced, it moves to the meat processing plants, where large-scale production kicks in. These plants process the beef into cuts, separating lean and fatty parts to create the optimal mix for the perfect burger patty. The typical Burger King patty maintains a fat-to-meat ratio of about 80-20, which is standard for juicy burgers. The combination of fat and lean beef creates that melt-in-your-mouth experience with every bite. The beef is ground and mixed into a homogeneous blend, after which it is shaped into those familiar circular patties. The equipment used in these plants can produce tens of thousands of patties a day. Think of it as a giant conveyor belt of burger goodness. The beef mixture is fed into machines that press it into uniform patties, ensuring each one is the exact same size, shape, and weight. When you're serving millions of customers, consistency is key, and this level of precision means every bite of your Whopper is as predictable as the last. But here's where fast food science really shines. These patties aren't just made and tossed onto a grill. After being shaped, they're flash frozen using specialized freezing technology. Flash freezing is essential in mass production. It locks in the flavor and moisture while ensuring that the patties can be stored for long periods without spoiling. By freezing the patties immediately, Burger King ensures that the beef stays fresh and flavorful when it finally reaches the grill at your local restaurant. However, freezing meat does come with a few downsides. The texture of fresh meat is undeniably different from that of frozen meat. A fresh beef patty might offer a juicier bite, but when it comes to fast food, consistency trumps everything else. The flash freezing process ensures that every patty tastes as close to fresh as possible once cooked. And for most of us, the difference is subtle enough to go unnoticed. Here's where Burger King sets itself apart from many other fast food chains: the flame grilling process. While others cook their patties on a flat-top griddle, Burger King opts for an open flame, which gives the burger that signature char-grilled flavor. This isn't just a gimmick, it's a core part of Burger King's identity. After all, there's a reason they market their burgers as flame-grilled, and it's not just for show. At the restaurant, the flame grilling happens on a conveyor belt system. The patties roll through an open flame, allowing the fat to drip off and create a smoky, charred taste. This method gives the burgers a slightly different flavor compared to other fast food joints that rely on frying or grilling. But here's a little secret: those grill marks you see on the patties, some of them are added in the factory. Yep, they're pre-marked to ensure that each burger looks perfectly grilled, even if it didn't spend as much time over the flame as you'd think. But why this method? Flame grilling is actually more efficient for large-scale operations. It's a way to cook a lot of patties quickly while still achieving that distinct flavor profile. Plus, the excess fat drips away, making the burger slightly less greasy than one cooked on a flat-top grill. Notice we said slightly. This is still fast food after all. Now, onto the unsung hero of the burger, the bun. We all know that a good burger bun needs to be soft yet sturdy enough to hold all those glorious toppings without collapsing. And at Burger King, the buns are as much a product of food science as they are a baking masterpiece. Let's take a peek into the bun factory to see how they're made. The process starts with the dough, which is made from wheat flour, water, yeast, and other typical bread ingredients. However, making buns on a fast food scale isn't as simple as kneading some dough and throwing it in the oven. Consistency is the key, so automated mixers and precision machines handle everything, ensuring that every batch of dough is identical. Once the dough is mixed, it undergoes an intensive kneading process. Machines mix and knead the dough to develop gluten, which gives the buns their elasticity and helps them rise properly. After the dough is sufficiently kneaded, it's left to rest and proof. This allows the yeast to ferment, producing gas bubbles that make the buns light and fluffy. Here's where things get a bit technical. Additives and dough conditioners like ammonium sulfate and enzymes are used to control the dough's rise and ensure a consistent texture. These chemicals might sound intimidating, but they're essential in large-scale baking to produce the same soft, springy bun every time. After proofing, the dough is portioned into individual bun-sized pieces by specialized machines. These portions are rolled into perfectly round shapes, again using machines that ensure every bun is uniform. The buns are then placed onto baking trays and sent through giant industrial ovens, where they're baked at precise temperatures to achieve that golden brown color. But that's not the end. After baking, the buns go through a quick cooling process to stop any residual baking. From there, they're sent through machines that apply the sesame seeds. Because what's a Whopper without those classic sesame seeds on top? Finally, the buns are flash frozen, similar to the beef patties, to preserve freshness during transport to Burger King locations across the world. The buns used at Burger King are made with preservatives like calcium propionate, which helps prevent mold and extends the shelf life. They also use dough conditioners like ammonium sulfate to ensure that the dough rises consistently, resulting in a uniform texture every time. These additives aren't harmful in the small amounts used, but they are a necessary part of mass-producing a bun that won't turn stale before it hits your mouth. Now, let's get saucy. A Burger King hamburger wouldn't be complete without the condiments, typically ketchup, mustard, and mayo. These might seem like simple additions, but as with everything else in the fast food world, there's more than meets the eye. Take mayonnaise, for example. The mayo used in Burger King's hamburgers often contains emulsifiers like lecithin and xanthan gum to maintain a smooth texture. These emulsifiers keep the oil and water in the mayo from separating, ensuring that it stays creamy and spreadable. Sure, you could make mayo with just eggs and oil at home, but when you're making it for millions of burgers, you need a little more food science to keep things consistent. Then there's ketchup and mustard, staples in the fast food world. Burger King's ketchup and mustard are made with the usual ingredients: tomatoes, vinegar, sugar, mustard seeds. But they're produced in huge quantities and have to be shelf-stable for long periods. This means preservatives like potassium sorbate are added to keep them fresh. Again, nothing shocking here, but it's a reminder that even the simplest condiments in fast food are products of careful engineering. Now, let's talk about the less glamorous side of fast food: additives and preservatives. These ingredients might not make it onto the billboard ads, but they're a crucial part of what makes fast food possible on such a large scale. One of the most common additives found in fast food burgers is monosodium glutamate, MSG, a flavor enhancer that gives food that savory, umami-packed punch. It's often criticized, but it's perfectly safe in the amounts used in food. MSG helps fast food chains, like Burger King, create a consistent flavor profile across all their restaurants, making sure that your burger tastes just as good in Chicago as it does in Paris. Then there's sodium nitrite, which is used in the processing of the beef to help preserve its color and freshness. Without it, the patties could look unappetizingly gray by the time they reach your local Burger King. While sodium nitrite is generally recognized as safe in small amounts, it has been linked to certain health concerns when consumed in large quantities. Luckily, the levels in fast food burgers are low enough that you'd have to eat a lot of burgers for it to become a problem, though we wouldn't recommend making it your daily diet. Lastly, preservatives like citric acid and sodium benzoate are commonly used in the sauces and buns to keep them fresh. These preservatives prevent the growth of mold and bacteria, ensuring that the food is safe to eat after it's been transported and stored. So, the next time you bite into a Burger King hamburger, remember that there's more to that simple sandwich than meets the eye. From the carefully sourced beef, the meticulous factory processes, and the flame-grilled finish to the science behind the sauces and buns, every element is designed to deliver the same taste and experience across thousands of locations worldwide. Now that you've got the inside scoop on Burger King's burgers, we've got to ask, do you prefer Burger King or McDonald's when it comes to fast food? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more tasty breakdowns. See you next time.